Good evening, everybody. How are you? We want to welcome you to tonight's call. My name is Joe Nunziata. We're very happy that you're sharing your energy with us and joining us tonight. This has been something a long time in the making. And again, we look forward to discussing some ideas and concepts and principles with you, and also giving you some things that you can do to go forward, hopefully in a positive way as we continue to make all these changes and things that are happening. Want to make sure you guys are all muted. Please, if you don't mind, I'll do it from here as well. Before we get started, I'm going to bring Susan on in 2 seconds, but anytime I do this, I always tell people I'm not looking to, we're not looking to be preachy here. We are just going to, we just want to share information with you, and our goal is to give you information that's going to help you go forward in a positive way. So that's really what we're here looking to do. Again, we're going to give you ideas and suggestions. You're going to take it where you're going to take it and where you're going to go. So let me bring Susan on board here. Hold on. My technology to work. Hold on. Susan, how are you?
Good. How are you? Can you hear
I
me
am doing,
okay?
I am
Yeah.
doing great. I hear you just fine. Thank you. I'm always technologically challenged sometimes. So before we get started, let me just go through a couple of things, Susan, how we know each other in this lifetime. Obviously, we have.
Oh, I lost you.
I met Susan 20 some odd years ago. I'm not sure, it was 2003, I believe it was. So it was quite a while ago. And I've been on my journey anyway. And then when we met, Susan took me to a whole nother level. It was a tremendous mentor for me. I don't really know how to describe you because you are a psychic, a guide, a counselor, an enlightened teacher. There's many ways I could describe you.
Thank you.
But I will say this, the one thing, and being a New Yorker, I know we met in New York, but you're not an original New Yorker. But the one thing I think that really connected us and that I loved about you was you were very, even though you weren't a New Yorker, you were kind of like a New Yorker. You were very
Yep.
straight to the point, and this is what it is. And if you don't like it, too bad. And you really credited it. So great to see you. And I also just want to talk to you for a second because we, of course, have stayed connected over the years. But I know you haven't done anything like this in a long time. So I know you've had a lot of changes in your life. Where, as far as where you are now, and we had this conversation. You said I'd love to do something, get back out there. Give us a little bit about that, as far as where you are and what you're looking to do, and then we'll get into it.
I had a bookstore, a spiritual bookstore, and I closed down because of Amazon, believe it or not. And yeah, after that, I wrote a book. And after I wrote my book, I decided that whatever information that I learned as a psychic, I put in the book, and I just put it out there, and I feel like my job was done. So then I concentrated on my family. I've since moved to Florida, and so my husband just recently passed away, and so I feel like now I
Sorry
have
to hear
time
that.
again, and I want to get back into it.
Well,
So
that's awesome. So what we want to do tonight is, and you and I did not script this, so we had a
no,
quick conversation. So this is going to go wherever it's supposed to go. Was really talking about, and this is really what I wanted to focus with you tonight, was navigating through what's happening here. Because the one thing also that I loved about working with you, and also the way my style was, uh, really, let's talk about what we're doing here and how we can do it. No airy fairy, a lot of a lot of this stuff could be really esoteric, but really talking about how we're going to navigate through all the changes that are coming and taking place. So before we get into it, give me a little just snapshot from your perspective. Obviously, a lot of changes taking place. A lot of energy is moving very quickly. And we'll get into a lot of topics, but just give me a quick overview as far as where you think we are now, as far as moving forward.
okay, so I feel like this is the time where you have to go within and know who you are. You have to basically tune in to get your gut feelings and just get real with what you think is true. because there's a lot of false information out there right now, and it can lead you astray if you're not listening to yourself. And by listening to yourself, you have to know how you're feeling about things, feel those feelings, because your emotions are actually part of your subconscious. And that's really what is leading you through this time. So if you're not aware of your subconscious and what it's sending you, excuse me, what you're feeling, then you're going to have a difficult time during this period.
So, okay, so this was always the million dollar topic when you say what you're feeling.
Okay.
So this was, of course, this is really it, right? When we met and we talked about this and talking about feeling your feelings, and we know that most people, and it took me a long time because I was very closed up and being a New York kid and a guy and Italian and Brooklyn and the
Right.
whole nine yards. So I didn't really understand that when you said feeling your feelings. I remember the first time you said it to me, and I was kind of like, well, aren't I doing that? So explain what that means. I think really to everybody when you say feeling your feelings, not just what I think we perceive it to be.
Well, what I learned as a psychic is that everything that's going on in your life right now is presented to you by your subconscious. And your subconscious, everything that happened to you in your childhood is actually that you never worked out the feelings because you were too young, or to do that. It's being presented to you again by your subconscious through events that are occurring in your life. And if you pay attention to what's going on to your life and accept that on some level I'm creating this, and you work it through by having awareness of it and feeling it and really know what it is, then you can change what's going on in your life and make it the way you want it to be. And right now, with the energy that's out there, it's magnified 10 times. So if you're just having one bad thing happen after another, you have to look at yourself and say, well, how am I creating this?
And it's speeding.
You can't be a victim in your life. You have to take control, and you have to say, I have the power to change it.
And that, of course, was always the big message. And I feel like right now, everything is moving faster and faster.
It is.
I notice I think of something, it happens. And it's good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter because we know the energy is non-judgmental. So all of a sudden you think of something or you think of whatever it is and it comes, it's happening right away. So as far as feeling your feelings, most people were not trained to do this correctly, right? People were repressed. People, like I wasn't allowed to feel feelings. I know a lot of people I've worked with over the years. So let's talk about that first part of that transition from, okay, I've been conditioned to act out or do drugs or whatever I do when I get upset or whatever I can't handle an emotion, or just I was very repressed. What's step A as far as okay, something happened to me today, although it didn't happen, I created it. I think the languaging for ourselves is important for me to change that to I created this.
Okay. So believe it or not, your subconscious exists through your body. We have brain matter that's all the way down our back through our spinal cord. And that's where our emotions sit. So the best way to figure out how you're feeling a feeling, it's not by being in your brain, but it's by tuning into where you're feeling the feeling. And usually it might be in your heart, in your gut. Sometimes it's in your throat. And those are actually what in India they call the chakras, energy centers of the body. But if you just pay attention to where in your body you're feeling it, and you just go in there and you feel what that feeling is in where it is in your body, it's usually going to tell you what it is. Maybe it's betrayal, maybe you're feeling powerless, and then you get an understanding of the situation that's occurring in your life, and you're realizing, I'm feeling powerless here. And if you think about it, you might realize, oh my God, this has happened to me before. This is a pattern that I have. And now that I'm aware of it, I can change it, because every time it starts coming up again, I'm not going to let it happen again. And that's how you change it.
So let's go through the process a little bit. I know we've done it for a long time, but so the first thing is something happens, I have my visceral reaction, whatever that is. I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm mad at somebody, I'm projecting it. That's where I know that's where I have to stop and not do that. So I think step one to me would be, what do I do now when something happens? And I need to be aware of that and stop doing it. Is that fair to say to get started?
Well, so what you do is because usually you're reacting and your brain is telling you how to react, your thoughts to protect you. But later on, when you're still carrying that feeling inside, and it just
Mm,
might be a heaviness in your chest, then or it might be a churning in your gut, whatever it is, that then you know that you have to go deeper and figure out what is causing that to happen. And when you go deeper, just start thinking about what occurred and let the feeling come up. Just concentrate on what is going on, whether it's the heaviness in your chest. Go inside that heaviness and see what it's telling you. And that's how, when you have a few minutes, that's what you start doing, either later in the day, that night before you go sleep. Don't let it just hang there or push it away. Face
right.
it. Does that make
So
sense?
yes. So what we want was, so phase one, obviously I have this reaction. I'm going to go back quietly. And I know the goal is think and feel at the same time. But for now, let's just talk about this. Now it's naming the feel. The one thing that was always challenging, I know working with a lot of people, was getting to, what's underneath that initial feeling. Because people say, I'm angry. I said, well, you're not really angry. That's what that initial feeling is, but that's not what you're really feeling. So getting underneath it into what it really is where people have been very challenged. So what would give me your way, your best version, and I've done this with people for years as well, getting past, hey, or the other part, which a lot of people do for the most part, is just blame people about, oh, it's their fault or I got fired or whatever it is getting there where you could actually stop and say, this is what I'm really feeling. That drilling down, I guess, would be from that place to the next.
Okay, so when you so don't victimize yourself. If you're saying they fired me or they said this to me, it's always about they. Just stop yourself. You're not getting into yourself. You want to go and say, why am I feeling this way?
Right.
Most people will start off by saying, oh, it's choking me, some kind of physical reaction. Oh, it's a heaviness. Oh, it's like I feel like I was punched in the gut. And it's usually some kind of you feel it physically like that. But underneath that physical feeling is the emotional feeling. So if you just concentrate on that, getting, that physical feeling and just, stay with it for a minute or 2 minutes, then it's going to start speaking to you and tell you, oh my God, it feels like, I feel powerless or I feel betrayed or, you know, um, and instead of somebody um, lying about you, you might feel it in your throat, and you might say, instead of being a victim to that person, you might realize that it's really more about something that happened to me, and I'm feeling like misunderstood.
Mm.
So there's different feelings sit in different parts of your body, and it all relates to what happened to you in your childhood when you buried those emotions, because we're never taught to feel them. And usually we don't feel them because we're worried about survival first and taking care of ourselves and how to react when somebody does something bad to you, how to save ourselves from it. But then at this point in your life, you've got to finally just stop and say, okay, on some level, I'm just recreating something that happened to me before. And I have to finally sit down, sit with it, and see what my body is telling me.
So going into this, obviously, like you said, a lot of us were not allowed. So as human beings, we're designed to survive. If I'm in a hostile emotional environment and I knew my mother, you couldn't say anything. I couldn't say I feel like this because I was going to get obliterated.
Correct.
So what do? You shut it off. And it's not just like a switch where 30 years later I say, oh, now I'm allowed to say I feel this. And I think that's, of course, the challenge for people, right? Going from I'm conditioned this way, now I'm trying to recondition myself this way to say I'm allowed to feel that.
So if you had a mother that wouldn't allow you to speak, chances are you have somebody in your life that's doing the same thing to you, because that feels comfortable. You attract people like that because
Right.
that's what you know. So as soon as you realize, oh my God, this is my mother talking to me, then you start bringing up the feelings of how it felt when you were little and your mother told you to be quiet and not say anything. And that's how you can start, getting into it. Just
Getting
go
it.
back and see who they remind you of or what the situation reminds you of when you're little.
And I think that was the best tool for me. I know just being able to say, oh, yeah, that's how my father made me feel. That's how my mother, and I'm just recreating situations over and over again. So let's go through there. Okay, I got it. I know what I'm feeling. I want to get rid of it. I don't want to keep this going. I want to get it out of my system. The idea would be to feel that pain that I have not allowed
Correct.
myself to feel.
Correct.
So,
That's exactly right.
and what is I want to get your side of this. What is the fear people have of doing that?
Okay, so the um, fear is an interesting thing because fear is attached to every emotion you're going to feel. And if you just think of fear as being a layer blocking you from feeling that feeling, then it's not going to be an actual thing that's going to happen to you. It's just going to be part of the emotion that you have to get into.
Right.
So let's say you had an abusive mother, and when she told you to be quiet, she abused you physically somehow, and it was very fearful as a child. So attached to that feeling of powerlessness to have a mother like that will be tremendous fear because you will remember it as something very scary. So when fear comes up, you just have to, and anger too, you just have to realize that that's not the true emotion. That's just attached to the emotion you have to feel because of the story that happened when you were little. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. So now I have a situation. And this is something people have said to me a million times. Just to get your side of it, where people say, "I already feel bad. Now you're telling me to feel worse. I don't want to keep." And if I can, and they feel like they're going to plunge into this depths of Hades or whatever they think they're going. So, but my answer was, well, you have to do that. So give me that one because that's what people said a lot. Well, I don't want to. I already feel bad. They're telling me to feel worse.
That's just getting through the fear. So feeling worse, they've never felt it because it's still hanging on there, and they haven't gotten into the real feeling of it.
Mm,
Your emotions aren't going to kill you. So
right.
what's so scary about an emotion? Do you know anybody that's ever died from feeling a feeling? No. You have to just go in and just be brave and just finally get into it.
So just yeah, and again, it's layered because you won't get it all at one shot. Usually, I know just
Some of it you won't, and some of it you
some of it you
will.
will, and some of it you won't. So it's just so the bottom line is if I keep seeing it in my life, that means it's still there.
Correct.
If, or maybe so here's what I experienced just doing this for so many years. I noticed that I would do it again, but a lesser version.
Correct. So
So
you're
until
peeling it like an onion.
right, going. So I was like, okay, I did it again, but I knew what it was. It was a little better. And I've talked to a lot of people about relationships, and they said, well, I kept kind of progressing through till I got to a good relationship. But I noticed where I was going. So and I think it's something people have to understand. It's not just like, oh, I felt it one time, that's it, I'm done.
Correct.
And
Or it depends, because like feeling powerless is going to have many layers to it. And it's a very difficult feeling
right,
to feel. If you have judgment on it, like you were told it's bad, to feel,
right,
then you're going to really have trouble
yeah,
feeling your emotions. Don't cry. How many times did you hear that, when
oh,
you were little?
yeah,
Just,
many
or
uh,
be quiet or. So
don't.
sometimes it is layered like that and it takes a while. Plus, sometimes it comes up in a different way. So it might have been the powerlessness or the feeling might have been with one person and another person who did it a different way to you. It might even be a school that did it to you. And it's going to be different. It's going to feel a little different every time, depending on who it was or what it was.
So as we're going deeper and deeper and finally getting to the bottom of these feelings, again, a lot of them are attached to our parents because they're the ones in this lifetime who we chose and we decided to go through this experience. I noticed I got to a place where I got to a place of understanding, then understanding them. And then I felt like I had to get to the forgiveness layer to really put it to bed. Give me your thoughts on the forgiveness part of it.
Okay, so once you feel the feeling totally, you forgive them. That's how you know you've felt
Yeah.
it all. So what happens is you forgive them, you begin having compassion for them because you understand what it was. You realize, how you're creating it in your life and you don't want
Right.
to do it anymore. So it leaves your life. You've learned the lesson of it and it's no longer an issue for you. If you bring a person into your life who reminded you of that person, they're not going to be able to stay in your life. You're going to notice, oh, I know that kind of person, and I'm right. It's adios,
There you go.
So
So I
that's what
do.
happened.
So just so everybody understands, I do need the forgiveness to really let it go.
But yeah, the forgiveness is part of the process.
Right. So I have to get to that because a lot of people, I've talked to, I know you as well, they just like, they cannot get there.
You can't just say it. If you just
No, you
say, oh,
have
I
to feel
forgive
it.
you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to feel it. You got to feel the pain. You have to feel that because a lot of times it's their pain too. So you're just mirroring each other.
And the one line I heard all the time, which I still do, is people would say, well, they did what they could and they did the best they could, and I'm moving on, which I know they did not feel anything.
Correct.
So if the people are saying that to themselves, they are not where they need to be.
And they're not changing their life and they're not going to change that situation. It'll come back and haunt them.
It'll keep coming back around and around. So right now, I know we're going through a time as we're going through this process where we're ending cycles quickly. Cycles are
Right.
whipping around very fast. So let's talk a little bit about that right now, where we get a cycle, we bring it to maybe it ends. What is important? Because I know obviously we can then recreate a cycle again if we don't clear it out. So right now, because everything's moving faster, I just want to get your take on this because we're moving real quick and we're seeing things come to an end that can be emotional. What would you say would be a good way to handle it in the speed that we're at right now?
Okay. So it's a great time to be able to get into stuff, and change yourself. And if you notice that your life is changing a great deal, you're letting go of things that no longer work for you, and you're
Mhm.
moving into a new phase of your life. And you have to be able to let people go or let situations go. If you get fired or whatever it is, it's because this new energy is coming in for you, and you have to be able to let it come in. Because on some level, you've been working through something you may not have realized it, and so it's going to leave your life because are speeding up like that. Before, you'd be more aware of things and it would take longer to do things, but
Mm.
now with this energy, it's happening very quickly, the
So let's talk
changes.
about this brings a really good point up, the family part, right? Because the family's the karma, which we know a lot of that is that. And when we get to a point, this happened with me and my family where we separated and really never got back together truly. We kind of did, but not really. And those cycles then, but people have a really hard time when it is the family, when it is the mother, father, sister, brother, whatever that is. And let's talk about the capacity to heal it versus the time. And I want to ask it to you this way. Okay, I have a situation. I'm trying my best. I'm really struggling. It's not working out, but I'm trying to believe that I can fix it, I guess would be a good way to describe it. Or I can't just not have that relationship, but you know internally this is not working. What is your advice to somebody who says, I don't know what to do. It's my mother, my father, my sister, my kids, even, because I know we've had this and that as well. Give me your thoughts on that part of it.
So some people work out their issues, some people don't. If so, in that, especially in family members,
Right.
if you're a person who's working through stuff and your family isn't, you're not going to be able to stay in that family anymore.
Yeah.
And, religion or, morality, they say, oh, no, you have to stay in your family. It's a terrible thing, leaving your family. You have to give up that judgment and you have to make it okay to walk away if the energies aren't compatible anymore. And that happens a lot in families right now
Yeah.
because everybody's working through their things in different rates. You might be more open to working through, and let's say you have a sister or brother who isn't, and so now you can't even be in the same room with them anymore. You can't even
Yeah.
talk to them. You have to make it okay for them to go their way and you go your way,
And then
and
deal with
then
those.
feel the feeling, and then
I
feel
was
the
good.
hurt. Yeah,
Because I
and
know
feel the
I
hurt.
felt, with my mom, my sister, I felt guilt, I feel shame, I felt failure. I felt all those feelings because I was the boy, the oldest. I was supposed to be the savior of the world. And when I felt like I failed, which was okay because I had to get through it. But it is not easy, especially when we're dealing with family members,
Exactly.
because
Those are going to be our biggest lessons, our family. Yeah.
that
And it's
and
going to be
those,
the hardest ones to feel.
yeah, and those are tough. And then it's also and certain people will just not let go, regardless.
Correct. And but so if you can't let go, you're just going to stay in that same like like just a rat going around in circles
Right.
and circles and circles. That's what you're going to end up doing, and your life isn't going to change, and it's never going to get better.
And you,
Now, it could get better if they decide down the road to start feeling their feelings like you have. Then they
right.
call you up one day and say, "Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get back together," and you'll know it happened. So it really just depends on who's working through what.
And if they're not, I mean, to me at this point, it's very obvious.
Yeah. If they're not, then you have to let it go.
That's it. They're just not doing it. So that'll bring us to something else that just popped in my mind. I'm just kind of going whatever comes in my head as we're
Okay,
talking.
go ahead.
So on this same point, and just in general, we have a lot of separation right now. There's a lot of, obviously, we have political separation. We have all kinds of things going on. People are very angry. People are looking at each other. People don't want to speak to each other. I think I mentioned to you when we spoke a few weeks ago during COVID, I had a person people who will never speak to me again because I didn't get a vaccine. So dealing with life in general, you're going out there, we're holding high energy. I know I shield myself in the morning and I do as many things as I can, but we're still in this world of all these things going on and dealing with all these energies. So what is your recommendation, or how do you say, hey, I'm out there, I'm going out there with a good intent and a good vibe, and I'm still dealing with this because this is what the world is like. So give me your navigation through that.
Okay, so just pay attention to what happens that day. What comes up, and just pay attention. What did any feelings come up? Did something come up that really bothered you? And work it through. Don't worry about all the other stuff. Just worry what's coming into your life directly, not about the world, what you hear on the radio and everything. Look at your life, because even though that might be going on in the world and all the craziness, your life might be very good. You might be getting everything you want. And that's if you are getting everything you want and your life is really good right now, you have worked through a lot of your feelings. And that's a sign that what you've been doing is working for you. It doesn't matter what the world is. It's just you create your world every day, and that's all you have to pay attention to.
So you're in effect staying in your own bubble, so to speak.
Exactly. You
I'm
have
not
to stay in your own bubble.
right. I'm not getting so when we see now all these people who are the hatred and all these things that are out there, and it's very hard to avoid because you can't go anywhere, turn on TV, look at your phone, whatever the case may be, and people have become addicted to these
Wait a
things.
minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
You said you can't avoid it. Is it in your life? Did somebody do that to you? That's what I'm saying. Not listening to the radio or the
right,
newspaper and said it's in your life. That's
right.
what you have to pay attention to.
But if people are consuming it they're purposely consuming it, what would you say? And are they're angry and they just want to hold on to that anger and they just keep looking for things to keep them going? What if obviously in the technology we have now, what do you think people are doing and why are they so dug into is that just what they want to do and they want to keep themselves in that space? Is that basically what you're saying?
No, that anger is coming from something in their childhood.
Right,
Whatever in the news or whoever triggered it, it's just reminding them of what happened in their childhood. It might be a person who acted just like that. They're carrying that anger from something else, and they're just
right.
misdirecting it outward instead of going inside and getting in touch with it.
So they're using that as a way to funnel it as opposed to deal with it.
Correct.
Basically. So it's one thing to look at it and say, well, it is what it is. And certain things we like or don't like, which is fine. When the people are immersed, so they're really using that as a way to avoid how they feel and really look at themselves.
Correct. They're not looking at the truth,
Right.
and they're acting out their feelings instead of feeling them.
So that's the distraction.
Correct.
And that's why we see doom scrolling and people getting addicted to the phones and all that. So they're really immersed in holding on to that feeling. Is
And
that
what happens when you have energy like that, when you hold on to it, it creates more, it makes your life harder. It creates more chaos in your life. It can even be more violence, more hate. Your life just gets worse and worse and worse. So, and until one day it either is going to affect you physically
right?
or health wise, and you're not going to be able to sustain yourself anymore. So I like to look at things like we have two energies that motivate us that we can't see, that we do every day. We think and we feel. And if I like to look at it like we're a twin engine airplane, our body is the fuselage, and one engine is our thoughts, one engine is our feelings. And if you're just thinking of your thoughts all the time and you're flying that plane, how long can a twin engine airplane fly on one engine?
How long?
Eventually, you're going to crash. And
Right.
that's what happens with people that are just want to be angry all the time, or not go within. So it's very important with the energy the way it is right now
Right.
to go within and see how it's affecting you in your life, what you are doing, and how you are causing it.
So basically, I think this is how I'll reframe it for myself. So I can watch it, but I just don't. I can see what's going on. It doesn't mean I can't do that. I just can't absorb it. Like if I want to
If
say,
you
oh,
if
I
it
want to
you
be
are absorbing it, it's because there's this you're mirroring something. It's a
right,
mirror for you that you have to work through.
right,
Something might have happened in the news and it triggered something that you knew when from before that you never worked through.
right,
So then you have to feel it. But you have to stay in touch with yourself, tune into yourself and say, why is that bothering me?
right. And then so all this anger is this is what it is. All these little kids who never resolve those feelings, and they're just pushing that anger out into through this channel, so to speak.
Right. Right.
And that's where they're so it actually in effect, if I'm not allowing that, I could watch it all day and it won't affect me.
Correct.
Right. So that's really what it is. So people want to blame that, but really it's themselves. And no, well, no one wants to blame themselves. So we know that that's always the hardest thing to do. And accepting responsibility, which again is something that people struggle with. How do you see that part of it where people just don't want to accept the responsibility? Because and I've worked in a lot of businesses and I do a lot of consulting and I hear this all day long. It's nobody's fault. It's not my fault. I don't have it. And give me that part of it as far as they won't take responsibility ever. What does that look like?
If you don't realize that you're the creator of your life, you will never have the power to change it. So if you don't own responsibility for it and say, I did this, why did I do it? Then you're never going to change it. You won't have the power to change it. And you'll just always be a victim to it. And that's where you're victimizing yourself. It's never going to be your fault. Oh, they're always doing things to me. You either live that way or you have ownership and you say, okay, on some level, I brought this into my life. Why did I do it? What is it? What does it feel like? Does it remind me of something when I was little or is it a repeated pattern in my life? If you just take ownership of it, then you change it. You become aware of it and you just, next time you walk away from it, it doesn't suck you in.
Now, obviously, we live in a world with many victims. It's a lot easier to be a victim. And it's a lot easier to get a lot of victim support, obviously, than being what you're saying is step into power and know that you can change your life. People, do they actually, I'll use the word I'm used to being a victim. I like it. And that's where I'm comfortable. And that's where I want to live.
And if you live like that, eventually you're going to have a health problem.
Mm,
And let's say, you carry around a lot of hate. You hated something that you can't stand in your life and you hate it. All of a sudden, it's going to show up as a cancer in your body. Then you're more open to saying, okay, how do I heal
yeah.
myself?
Yeah.
Well, healing yourself is not just physical, where you're just taking medicine and getting radiation. It's body, mind, and soul. You have to go in subconsciously. How did I create this? And you've got to be aware of how you do it and what you're doing. So, it's up to you whether you decide, to be a victim and be this way or, make some changes. But it's usually when it's affecting your health or or sometimes you bring something to you that's so drastic that
Yeah.
it change, it's a
Yeah.
drastic change in your
Yeah.
life. And then your eyes are wide open and you say, okay, I got to look at this.
Yeah. Because it just, you've
It
kept
doesn't, you just can't
pushing it.
go on like that forever. Right.
Right? You just can't, you kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
Right.
So, I know now myself, it's kind of a processing energy every day, going through it
Correct.
every day. And that's the key, not holding on to it where it builds up. It's almost like building up sludge right in the engine. Where if I keep processing it every day, and I do it through meditation and what you had showed me, and just in general, just every day saying, okay, I need to process my feelings all the time. So I keep the gears moving, so to speak. That to me was the number one, the consistency of doing that was the best medicine that I personally, the prescription for myself.
And you know what? And you mentioned meditation, which is the best thing.
Mm,
But if you don't know how to meditate, if you just spend 15 minutes at the end of the day, right before you go to sleep, and think about your day and what
yeah,
bothered you that day,
no good.
you can get into it and
Right.
just, really start healing it, get it out.
And get it, yeah, just doing it.
Just 15 minutes of quietness where you can just sit and
Right.
just think about it.
Which, of course, in today's world, people have a hard time with quietness. It's not their number one thing. I was doing a training, and I remember I
Mm-hmm.
said to everybody in the room, there were about 50 people, sales, business people, and I said, how many of you, the first thing you get out of bed, what do you do? Every single person said, look at my phone.
Yeah.
Every single
Or
person.
before you go to sleep, look at my phone.
What's first thing you do? What's the last thing you do? And I can't tell you how many people said, I leave the phone next to my bed.
Right.
Right there. And so right away, you're already disrupted before you even did anything,
Right.
which is, of course, become an epidemic here with everybody, that constant need for some kind of stimulation, I guess, at all points of
But
time.
everybody who's listening to us is there for a reason.
Right.
And it's no accident that you're listening to this. And on some level, you want to change something in your life. And now you know how to do it.
So let's go forward now. We want to create what we want right now in a fast moving energy, which is awesome because we can do it faster
Right.
in the energy that we're in now, but also, which we will, just as a warning, the energy is non-judgmental. So whatever you're focusing on is going to move faster. It doesn't say Joe's a nice guy or Susan's nice,
Correct.
very nice person. So let's talk about that moving forward, creating what I want, which I think begins with knowing what you want to create. Is that a good place to start? Because I don't know that people really even know half the time.
Correct. If you could make a list of 10 things that you would like in your life, I mean, most people can't even probably put 4 or 5 things down because we don't spend time thinking about what we want in our lives. And if you just put it out there and start thinking, I want this, make a list of the things
Yeah.
that you want. Just putting awareness on it begins the journey of bringing it to you. And then you start paying more attention. Whatever you pay attention to, you create the energy for it to come to you. So the more you pay attention to what you want instead of what you don't want, because if you pay too much attention to what you don't want, that's just going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. So think about what you do want. Make a list. Be very precise. I want this in my life. I want this. And when you do that, then you start bringing that into your life. Or your subconscious said, okay, you want this in your life. Well, let me remind you what happened when you were little and you wanted something. And what did your parents do when you wanted something? So your subconscious is going to say, okay, you got to get rid of this first before you have
Right.
that.
Gotcha. Now, what about the design? Like, okay, and I'm going to, and I don't know if it even makes a difference because I don't think it actually does, but just for the purpose of our conversation, if I want something because I like it and I enjoy it, or I want something because my ego says, oh, I want to have that, so people, a nice car, so people know I have money. Is there a difference?
All right, say that again because
Okay.
that's
The question is, it's just, and I don't, there's a difference in certain ways, but I want to get your understanding of this. If I want something because I say, I really love that, it brings me joy, that's one reason. Or I want something because I want to,
impress somebody or something.
or it's an ego. I want to say, have a Rolex or whatever it is. Is there a difference in those two things?
Absolutely. The first thing you talked about an emotion.
Right.
I want to have joy. The second thing is an object. So the real thing is the emotion. If you want to have joy, then just think about you want to just be happy or have joy. And if, and with the happiness, if it means that you're going to, a Rolex makes you happy,
Different.
then you bring the Rolex in because
Right.
it's the emotion brings it in. It's the thought of it that it's going to impress somebody is not the thought of it is not going to make it happen. There has to be an emotion attached to what you want.
So
So
the
you
counter
need both energies. You need that energy of emotion to create.
to create. So what do you say to something like, okay, this is a person who's not a nice person, who has done horrible things, who has been very successful. What is the emotion of that person who you say, well, you're saying they should have a positive emotion behind it, but they're not the nice or whatever they've done, or they've done a lot of horrible things. How do you address that?
I address that by saying you have judgment
I
because
got
some of the richest people in the world, and I can name like Musk, Trump, they're all narcissists. They're
yes.
selfish people, and they put themselves first.
Yes.
And everybody else has judgment against that. But that's
Right.
what you need to do. You need to put yourself first. You need to think about what you want, how you feel, and you put in. Once you tell the universe, "I am important to myself," then the universe says, "Okay, what do you want?"
So
And I
that's a great way for us to get into this final portion, right? I want to put myself first. That is most important thing to do. Again, we have a lot of attachments to that, right? You're
Yeah,
selfish, you're this, you're that, you're a selfish person, you don't care about anybody. So I have to get past this in order to put myself first. You said something to me when we first met, I'll never forget it. You said you have to be the sun and the planets go around you. So that was kind of the visual I always had. So talk about breaking through that part of it where I'm going to put myself first and then I have to get through the negative associations or feelings or what I've been told my whole life that
that's right.
I'm a bad person or I'm a selfish person.
That's correct. You said it. Everything
So,
you said is absolutely right.
okay, so now I have to say to myself, I am a selfish person. Is that what you're
Yeah, you
talking
have to accept that. You have to
about?
make it okay. Don't be judgmental. In
Gotcha.
order for me to have what I want, I'm going to have to be selfish.
Right.
I'm going to have to say no to people, especially family members. And or
Right.
I might have to say no, to a priest, where, there's religious judgment on it. These
Right.
are all judgments, but you have to do what's good for you. And it has to come from a place of of the heart. If you're going to hurt somebody in getting what you want, you're going to
Right.
be feeling it. It's going to
Right.
be one of the feelings that you're going to have of hurting somebody to have what you want. That's going to be one of the reasons why you don't have it. Because maybe when you were little and you got something and it hurt somebody else, you're not going to bring something into your life because you know it hurts others.
So
So
now give me, okay, I want to break, let's say, and I know everybody's going to ask that question, right? How do I break through this? Because this is the big obstacle, this loving yourself and putting yourself first. Give me your path to get there.
you have to feel it. You have to say, this is what I want, and then feel every feeling of why you don't have it.
Okay.
So let's say you want to have money in your life, but somewhere in your childhood you associate money as a bad thing. Maybe
Yeah.
it was a religious reason, whatever it was, or you stole from one of your friends in school. Whatever it is, you're not going to let yourself because of that feeling that came up when you did it, or the judgment of it, or whatever it was in your childhood. You're going to keep whatever you want away from you because you don't want to experience that emotion. That's why you have to get into the emotion, feel it. Whatever comes up, when you put something out there, this is what I want, you have to be there and be available to feel why you don't have it. What feelings come up? What hurt did you do? How did you feel about yourself? Did you feel unworthy and you still feel unworthy? Because you
Mm.
heard that, your whole life from
Yeah.
your parents, whatever it is.
Now, the other side of the fear that has come up a lot for me over the years, myself included, is when you get more powerful or successful, whatever word we want to use, now I'm going to be judged. And people struggle with that idea that now people are going to judge me, or I'm going to have people not like me, or I'm going to lose friends, or whatever they think is going to happen. That's another piece of the puzzle that I've
Another feeling,
another
another
just a
part of
feel.
peeling the onion. It's the next
Right,
feeling, and you just feel it. Don't put judgment on it, just feel it. You might have people, leave your life because,
right.
you're not going to be the same energies anymore. Your energies will repel each other. You just have to feel everything that comes up. It's just another emotion coming up.
And what is it? So let's talk about the fear of that, right? The fear, because obviously, if we don't have it, there's some kind of fear, correct? That is not resolved, that I have not created it because I'm afraid of something.
Correct.
So the idea would be then really sit down and identify when this happens. And I remember doing this at an event years ago with a meditation and took everybody into it and took a guy in his revenue and said, okay, you're doing 500,000 a year. What would be a tremendous jump for you? And he said 5 million. And I said, okay, and I took him into that place and he actually started hyperventilating and I took him out of it. And he said, I felt so much pressure on my chest that I can't handle that money.
Pressure on the chest. That's feeling it physically instead of
Right.
emotionally.
Right. So he didn't actually, he just felt the stress.
He let himself, and that pressure on the chest could have actually been from something that happened to him when he was very little, when he
Right.
asked for something more. It could have even been something small, like he had a candy and he asked for more. And then all of a sudden, maybe he asked his brother for some more candy and his brother sat on his chest and he felt, that
Yeah.
was where the heaviness came from. You have to get through that and get into the feeling underneath it. You're not going to die from feeling the feeling. That
Right.
hyperventilating is going to go away once you get deeper into it. It's not going to kill you.
Yeah. So the fear, but it was a fear also that he had when later discussed, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to manage the money.
Another feeling.
Another feeling that he's incompetent.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's
He was
just
told that when he was little,
right.
couldn't handle things.
So
Yeah.
that's what it is. So, and then allowing yourself to be powerful and receive, and then also not worry about what everybody else has to say, basically, is the main, is what
Uh-huh.
you're
Not
saying.
having any judgment.
Right.
Just allowing yourself to feel it all, to be all those bad things, because everybody is a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. And
Right.
you just have to realize that you are all those things. Yeah.
So any other, and if anyone has any questions, please drop them in the chat and we'll be sure to address those. Or if not, I know people will get this recording. You could email us as well, and I'll send this out with the recording. If anybody has any questions, please let us know. Uh, as far as we come to the end of our hour here, give me any overview as far as here we are now. I know we're going through this, it seems like a separation of people, like some people going one way and some people going the other way. Anything we can do now in physical form as we go through this transition, I guess, whatever you want to call it, to make this easier or smoother, so to speak.
Every day, think about what happened to you and just deal with it. Don't make it a big, hard
Don't
thing.
make it a
And,
whole big,
no.
no.
And if something happens in your family or somebody close to you, and, sometimes it's good just to feel it, but sometimes it's good. You don't even have to say anything to your family member. Let's say they say something bad to you. If you just feel it, it changes the energy between you and your family member. So a lot of times that's just enough to change the situation. And, you come together with your family member. Or if they're not going to work it through, sometimes they'll just walk away from you. But you have to make it all okay. But just spend every day just thinking about what happened. Make it simple.
Keep
Think
it simple.
about what you want. Make your list. Think about, what you'd like in your life, what would bring you joy, and then watch what happens and pay attention every day.
So I'm looking for breadcrumbs, so to speak. I put this out there, I'm focusing on something, I start meeting someone, or I get a phone call, or I read a book, or whatever it is. I need to, so I think that's an important part of following this process, correct?
Yeah, because things will start coming in, the awareness, things will start coming into your life to show you what you need to do to change what you want, to get what you want. So yeah, awareness is everything. Those are the breadcrumbs. Every breadcrumb is a little piece of the awareness of a piece of the puzzle of how to get what you want.
Which can come from anywhere.
Anywhere.
Could come from tonight. It could come from talking to somebody. It could come from a commercial you saw. It could come from anywhere.
Yeah.
I get a lot with music myself. So just
No
being,
coincidences. Right.
no, just tuning in.
Correct.
So let's talk about, a little bit about that before we finish up. What's the best way, because there's a lot of distractions, right? Because there's so much going on and we're trying to live life and pay bills and go to work and do all these different things. Give me any tricks or tips you have as far as how do I really stay tuned in throughout the day in a lot of distractions obviously going on. Give me a couple of things that you would recommend to say, yeah, this is a good way to really tune in.
Okay. So when you're tuning in, take ownership of what's going on and say, I am the creator of this. How did I create this on a subconscious level? Why did I bring this into my life? What do I have to look at here? And then just take a few minutes to see that, to say that to yourself and see it and do it. Usually this won't happen every day, but when it does happen, take ownership of it. Be responsible for your life. Don't be a victim in it.
Now, the other side of it that I found helpful, because I struggled with this earlier on, was absorbing positivity because I wasn't used to it.
Correct.
And it felt weird. It's like the person who can't get a compliment, right? That person, you say, oh, that's, I remember you'd say, oh, that's a nice shirt. Oh, it's an old shirt. So somebody they can't bring it in. So let's talk about what's a little practice. I think this is a good thing to practice the self-love world, right? Just bringing it in, a small thing, and just bringing it in. What's a good suggestion to do that more? Make it part of our thing.
So paying attention is very important. So let's say you have tickets to a game and somebody says to you, a family member says, oh no, you have to come do this, but it's a game you've wanted to see for a long time. And the family member is giving you, grief, and making you feel guilty that you're not doing the family thing. That's a situation where you say to yourself, okay, I created this. Now is it either am I giving myself up to my family member or am I going to be true to myself? And you have to make it okay to say, nope, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to go to the game because that's what I want. And that's a hard thing to do, especially if it's a family member. But those are the situations that you have to do to be selfish, because you're selfish is for self-love. Self-love is what brings you what you want. And self-love sounds like it's selfish, but actually it's not. Because the more you love yourself and the more you feel, the more compassion you have for other people, the more forgiveness you have for other people. And it actually puts you on the path to enlightenment, because you're saying, I love myself enough to let everything come and I will feel it and deal with it.
So you just described, first that was my mother. You just described that story. But anyway, that happened.
Everybody's got that. Yeah.
Everybody's got that. And, I remember when I first did it, right? When I first said, no, I'm doing what I want. I'm not doing what you want. It was not well received.
And it's a horrible feeling. It's very, very hard to get through, but you got to feel it.
Right. But it was not what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is it was not well received. And you have to be able to deal with that part of it, the backlash, so to speak.
So if you feel the feeling, you're not going to have a backlash.
I got
Believe it or not.
Okay.
You won't. But if you don't feel the feeling fully, you're going to have a backlash. So let's say you feel it partially, you'll have a little backlash. But if you feel it fully, really get into it and feel how bad it feels to do something like that to your family.
Right.
You're not going to have any backlash. It's going to be amazing. Well, I'll give you a situation. Somebody had a power issue. And so the power issue came through from getting stopped by a policeman and getting a ticket, and felt very powerless getting stopped by the policeman, and then had to go to court. So this person sat with the feeling of what it felt like to be powerless, in that situation, getting stopped and whatever happened. And when they went to court, the whole thing was dropped. It wasn't even an issue anymore. And that's what happens. The
Yeah.
situation, you change the situation. You created it and you change it by feeling it,
By
believe it or
feeling it.
not. And the first time you realize that, it's the most amazing thing and you see how it works.
So you actually change the outcome
Yes, you
now.
change the outcome.
So now when we deal with people, and there are, I went through this personally with my family, they did not respond well to that. And, again, the first few times it's hard. Once you start doing it, you shift the power over. But it was not met with, it was not a workable situation. And that was where I had to cut the cord. And I think that's what you're saying.
I'm saying that, yeah, when you, however, whether it's cutting the cord or however it
Whatever it
ends up,
is.
it leaves your life, and
Right,
and it ends up being a good thing for you.
right.
It
So however that works. So if you get to a point where say, I keep holding this, I keep doing this, and it's not moving forward, I guess would be because you're getting resistance, let's just say.
right.
Uh, that's
There's
hard to
more
say.
to feel.
There's more to
There's,
feel. But what about with those certain people that you will always get that resistance?
then eventually they're going to leave your life because you're
Right.
not going to be able. They can't stand being
Can't
around
stand,
you,
yeah,
just like you
right.
can't stand being around them. Yeah,
And that's just going to happen. That's just an organic
yeah,
process.
exactly.
Yeah. One way, either whoever does it, but that's the way it'll end up.
And that's why we're with our families. It's meant to happen like that, a lot of times.
It's
Yeah,
it's meant to be a,
a learning lesson.
an ordeal, so to speak. It is what it is.
Yes.
So yeah, and I think again, these are things that we and the one thing I think is also important for everybody. There's no ending here. You just keep going to the next thing and the next thing, because as long as we're here, right? We always talked about this.
Exactly.
There's going to be another thing. The only difference now is you can get through it quicker,
You understand the process and you get through it faster.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't end. I think people
No,
just,
as long
yeah.
as you're breathing and you're in life, it doesn't end.
It's not, and I think, obviously we're very, geared to get a diploma. I finished, there's no finishing. So we just keep getting better at it.
Yeah,
And then also accepting that this is part of life. You're going to have these things happen and we keep evolving as we go through it.
exactly. It's an evolving process. Yeah.
It's, so Susan, this was awesome. I really, we'll have to do this again. I know this was a good, I haven't done one of these in about 5 years myself, because I've been doing corporate work, and with you probably 20 years since we did
Yeah.
the New York event. Susan came to our New York. Maria, my wife, and I used to do an event in New York, and once a month we had a great group, and it's got to be 20 years ago when you came, and we sat down and we had an amazing evening, because it's very similar to tonight. So it's been a long time. It's like a reboot coming back around. This is the 2.0 version of that event all those years ago. So any last words for people who are obviously, I know people are looking to change. I know people are looking for tools. I know that also, and there's one last thing that I'll just bring up. And again, not to judge anybody, but there is a lot of mis and disinformation. So I think you find the right teacher when you're in the right space. Tell me how you see that as far as people out there, because there's so much out there now that is confusing, I would say. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. You have obviously beyond. And any advice for people you're looking for, whatever it is, tools, teachers, books, anything that you would recommend or put out there, just as a good way to sift through.
So if you're bringing in the wrong teacher, that's another feeling you have to feel. So my advice to you is stay tuned to yourself and see what you're feeling in the presence of people that you meet. You know what? It's just like, start paying attention to how you feel even walking into a room. Walking into Disney World is going to be a totally different feeling than walking into a hospital. And if you're aware of your feelings doing that, you're going to start being aware of, you'll be able to know what's good for you and what isn't, just by how you're feeling.
And that was actually a great lesson. I think it's something when you had showed it to me, and I use it when I speak, because I'll walk into the room and get a vibe right away. You get
It's a great,
or a company and get a vibe right away.
correct.
You get a feeling, and it's not always 100%, but you do get some kind of feeling when you encounter situations or people.
Correct.
And I think the word that we'll leave on here tonight is trust yourself. And I think we don't,
Yes.
and I think that's also a problem,
Yes.
right? That you have to trust, hey, this is what even though maybe people are telling you it's wrong, maybe you're thinking it's wrong, whatever it is, you have to trust your gut feeling and know that that's guiding you in the best direction for yourself.
Correct. And that, I think you just summed it up perfectly with that.
So the trust is huge. Follow through, do what feels best, write a list of what you want, start focusing, and just remove. And I think the last thing, and I'll leave us with this one tonight, but just for you, uh, because it's been so helpful. The removal of the negativity very quickly, I think, is really critical.
Yes.
So that,
Protect yourself, you know, be loving to yourself. And you love yourself by doing all those things you just said. And if it doesn't feel good for you, then love yourself enough to take it, you know, to see why, and then, you know, and try and take it out of your life. Feel why, and then make it okay to let it go.
and trust that that is, regardless of how difficult it may be at that time
Correct.
or whatever it is, you know, and I think everybody knows that on some level. It's just having the courage, which this work takes a lot of courage,
It takes a lot of courage.
tremendous
There's
amount
a
of
lot of
courage.
fear attached to it, like, you know,
Yeah.
you said before. You have to realize that this is not feeling your feelings. Trusting yourself is not going to kill you. You know, it's if you just sit with your feelings, it's not going to kill you. And the feelings can be a lot scarier than some of the physical things that you do. So
And it's just, you know, it's funny because I have in my altar that I created, but you know, you had recommended, I did it years ago, and it has evolved into one side of it has gladiators and one side of it has a Buddha. And it's kind of like, and I teach this when I'm teaching sales, when I'm teaching people in business, and I'm saying sometimes you need to be the gladiator and sometimes you need to be the Buddha. And it's knowing kind of when to be on each of those because we are, you know, there's the term spiritual warrior. You know, you've got to sometimes be the gladiator, you know,
yeah,
right? And sometimes you want to try to be the Buddha as much as you can, but sometimes you have to be willing to step into that space. And I think that's also something that people struggle with a little bit,
that's a good point. Yep.
just to kind of bring it back and forth. Well, Susan, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Great.
Everybody
My
who's
pleasure.
here, we really appreciate it. We will send out this recording to everyone. If you have questions or want to get in touch with us, I will put that all in the email that I sent to you. Again, everybody be blessed. And we look forward to speaking to you. Susan, I'll speak to you soon.
Okay,
And
great.
everyone,
Okay, bye
have a
everybody.
great one. Take care.
Thanks. Okay, bye-bye.